It's not fun being a Norwich City fan at the moment, is it? It is not fun at all. Norwich are bang in trouble. Bang in trouble. Liam Manning was asked after the Bristol City defeat on Saturday, are Norwich City in a relegation battle? And he kind of laughed it off. I think the defeat to Derby on Tuesday night brought a lot of things very close and into picture and provided some clarity around where Norwich are at the moment. Derby were a side before Tuesday night without a win at home, really struggling and pretty much booed off in that first half. They were in just as much trouble as Norwich City were. And, doesn't all change in one night, but probably a further ahead than we are at this stage. We can't beat teams at home. All we were clinging on to was our away form. And the hope would be you go to Derby County and Swansea away from home, pick up something, and the mood changes a little bit, and you come back to Carrow Road and maybe find something. Actually, the away fans have now turned on Liam Manning and that squad, and Ben Napper and Zoe Webber. The list goes on. And I think in football, once that away section turns, you're really struggling then. They are the hardcore. They are the season ticket, travel up and down the country, even on a Tuesday night, thick and thin fans. And if they start to turn, I think you've got problems. Now, the performance against Derby, and I didn't really discuss it in yesterday's video because I was so upset and angry with how I deem this club to be currently being run at the moment. The performance in that first 45 minutes was probably one of our best of the season. Now, that bar is low, but credit where credit's due. The performance in that first 45 was okay. It wasn't great, it was okay. I also think it's worth adding into that context that Derby were really poor. Defensively, they were wide open, and we did everything we could other than score. We had good chances through Gibbs and Schwartau. Jovan Makama was excellent. And Josh Sargent was in the game a lot more. And at that point you thought, please Norwich, just don't follow the script that we've become so used to in recent seasons of huffing and puffing, not being able to take your chances, going behind, then not having a reply. And actually, that script played out to absolute perfection. And we've seen it before, and I'm sure we'll see it again. My concern is this. Even when Norwich look at their best, which in that first 45 minutes, and against poor opposition, which, no offence to Derby, but they are, Norwich still can't find a way to get anything, not even a point. And when they go behind, they look utterly useless. And that's a confidence thing. I think that's a quality thing. I think that's a system thing. And the other problem is this momentum spirals in a direction you don't want it to be going in. Just like when you're winning, things start to fall your way. When you're losing, things start to go against you. I felt desperately sorry for Ante Cianats last night. It's remarkable, the fine margins in football. He was 2 inches away from getting Norwich back into that game, and who knows, they may well have gone on to win it if that would hit the back of the net. It was a nice swivel, good strike with the left foot, hits the post, goes across the line and gets cleared. 5 minutes later, potentially season-ending knee injury, landing awkwardly on the grass. And they are the types of moments. I remember vividly going to Selhurst Park in the Premier League, and Norwich were kind of knocking on the door of survival. Tim Close had come in, he looked really good. He went down, freak injury, season over, Norwich went down. And I'm not saying that will happen again this time, but they are the types of moments you look at and go, oh, really? Like, Cianats has been poor this season, right? And I don't think his influence has changed the course of direction at all this season. But they are the types of moments I look at and go, when your luck's out, your luck's out. The thing that confuses me is this. I get the feeling that Norwich are thinking that the returning injuries, I'm talking Papa Amadou Diallo, Matthias Chris Gordon, Forson Amankwa, Ben Crescene, Lucien Mahovo, will change the course of direction here. And it's not necessarily a Liam Manning fault or a Ben Napper fault or a Zoe Webber fault. Actually, it's an injuries thing. And once we've got our fully fit starting 11, we will go on this miraculous run. And I just don't see it. I don't see it in this squad. I don't see individuals being able to pull us out of it. I don't think this system is... It's certainly not exciting to watch, but I don't think it's effective with the players that we've got. And I don't know if it will be turned around. And that brings me back to this point of and that's, League One. We have to be talking about it. Norwich are in the bottom 3. We've got 8 points from 11 games. If you extrapolate it back across the bottom, the final third of last season as well. And we've been in torrid form since about February. And that isn't changing. And I don't see how it changes. And it's tough for the Atenasios because they're in and they're new to ownership of a championship club. And I sense a degree of naivety. I also get where they're coming from in a sense of, if you want to build a sustainable, successful football club, sporting institution, you can't keep chopping and changing. But it feels as if when they're still in early days and before it gets too late to really rip this up, now is a good time to make it your own. Put your stamp on it. And look, the Atenasios maybe don't know as much about football and particularly the championship and how to turn a sinking football club around, but they've got people in high places. They know the ownership at, I think, Liverpool and Todd Bowley. So they can speak to people and they can pull some strings and they can have change. I get the sense that Chris brought it up on the podcast brilliantly. People that have been promoted that maybe have got to the level now where they don't have the adequate skills. I don't think there's enough questioning and accountability being held in certain roles. And ultimately, this is kind of the result of 5 years of bad decision making. You can probably trace it back even pre-Daniel Farke, in terms of pre-Daniel Farke sacking. The decision making has ultimately led to this point through Stuart Webber, through Ben Napper, from the sale of the club to Norfolk Holdings Group. We've got to the culmination now where we've got lots of poorly constructed parts, all pulling in different directions and misaligned. And this squad should be capable of finishing, well, Ben Napper and Liam Manning thought it was capable of top 6. I think those dreams are gone. However, I look at the top 6. Coventry Borough, okay, we drew to Coventry, we nearly won. Yes, they had 30-odd shots. We got beat by Borough, but we were down to 10 men for most of the game. Millwall, Bristol City, Charlton, Stoke, Hull. That's the current top 7. Are you telling me that this Norwich squad isn't as good as the Charlton squad? Isn't as good as the Hull squad? Isn't as good as the Millwall squad? I think on paper we've got excellent players. Okay, excellent might be strong, but we've got good players, I think, in most positions. It's the construction, it's the system, it's the soft skills that I think we're lacking. Is every single one of these players willing to run through brick walls for Liam Manning? Well, Liam Manning said himself, no, I don't think they are. Now, that's a players thing, and I think they have to look in the mirror because they have to take responsibility as well. I want to see more from Liam Manning. I want to see more passion, and he said that he's dedicated, and he said that I think he described it as being obsessed with getting Norwich out of this mess. And maybe you have to go away from your character profile a little bit. And maybe you have to be somewhat performative. Fake it till you make it. But let's feel it. Let's feel that the tide is turning in the right direction. Because at the moment, I'm hearing buzzwords. It's like he's kind of flicked through a self-help book. And he's coming out with all of the cliches. Show me something different. And also, I said it in yesterday's video. Whatever the club are thinking at the moment, and I think it's injuries related, and I think they will put a lot of blame on that for the reason that Norwich are underperforming. there's clearly something stopping them from ripping it up and starting again, whether that's head coach, whether that's sporting director, whether that's recruitment, whether that's physios, whether that's sports science. There's something stopping the change. And maybe that's a really good reason. But communicate it. Take the fans on the journey. If you feel like you're a part of that journey and there is a process and there is logic behind the madness, us fans are far more willing to be accepting and patient of that. It's when you feel in the dark, that's when it's really difficult to buy in. And I think that Manning had buy-in at the start of the season. Not much, and there wasn't much patience because of what he inherited, but there was patience and there was buy-in. That has completely eroded now, and that's not all down to Manning. There's been some real mismanagement of lots of things this season. But the reality is this. We are 22nd in the Championship. There are 2 teams below us in Blackburn Rovers and Sheffield Wednesday. So Sheffield Wednesday have been struggling to pay their players this season, and they have 2 points less than us. This is a dire situation, and what we can't let happen is this to unravel or to go, it will turn at some point, it will turn at some point. At what point is it too late? I'm starting to fear we are getting to that stage as Sheffield United and Oxford, the teams above us, start to win games. Derby County, one of the only other teams with a home record nearly as bad as us, have now got up and running at home. Do I trust Ben Napper to spend wisely in January in a market that is already so inflated in terms of prices? I don't think I do. Or we've got to the stage where the only data that matters is results. And Norwich are incapable of doing that. They had 13 corners. They had 17 shots. They had 66% of the ball. But they couldn't get it in the back of the net. And when they went behind, they looked flaccid. They looked really poor. I need to see something different. I need to see personnel change. And I need to see this trend bucked. Because at the moment, we're not only sleepwalking into the division below us, we are plummeting into the division below us. We can all see it. Can the ownership see it? Can those in charge see it? And maybe for Ben Napper, it would be a huge own goal to go, you know what? I've got this one wrong. I've got some of the recruitment wrong. I've got the head coach wrong. I get the sense that the only reason that change hasn't been happened is because for the person to sack the person below them, it shows bad on them. So actually, if everyone goes, it's okay, we'll wait until the players are back and then it might change, you're delaying it. And actually, I think we just need some honesty. I think we need some ownership. And for some people to go, you know what, I fucked up. I'd rather hear that than silence and the continual losing of football matches. We need to see a reaction and we need to see it quickly. Do I expect that to happen? No. Do I expect there to be change and communication in the next few weeks? No. But I don't want it to get to a stage where there's protests, where there's pretty toxic environments around Carrow Road. I don't want Liam Manning, I don't want Ben Knapp, I don't want anyone to be subjected to that. No one should have to go through that, but it will get to a stage where that does happen, because that is the result of fans trying to be heard. We're lucky on TNT. Chris and I are lucky. We've got a platform and we can speak and people listen to us sometimes. But not everyone has that. And people turn to sometimes slightly distasteful methods when they want to see something done about a situation that is less than desirable. And I feel that we are approaching that. And this club, when Connor Southwell put it beautifully in his Pinken video, when this club is harnessed and when this club is led and when you realise the power that this club has, beautiful things can occur. And we've seen it, right? Multiple times in the last 15, 20 years. Promotions, championship winning campaigns, the good that this club can do in the community. It can quickly unravel, but you can also quickly change that course of direction. So here's hoping that something happens. Here's hoping. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you all again very soon. Bye-bye.